everyone, and welcome to the Jeff Bullish Show. Today I have with me Ryan Fenn. Now, Ryan, hi Ryan, welcome to the show, mate. It's really good. Oh, I should say buddy in American, so in Australia we say mate. Okay,
Call me
so
mate. That's
g'day, mate. Put another shrimp on the barbie, but from about 3 or 4 decades ago. With yeah. So Ryan's got a passion for automation and entrepreneurship. We're going to find a little bit more out about that. And on the Jeff Bullish Show, we dive into what's the inspiration for starting your business or side hustle, and tips that we can bring to the table that Ryan's going to show us and other people show us, as in how to grow your business and manage it. Growing is one thing, managing it is another, but we'll talk more about that as well. Yeah. So now this entrepreneurial drive led Ryan to create CHIIRP, an automated text messaging platform. I'm sure some of you have seen messaging used in some of your sales or in your inbox that helps businesses communicate with instantly and automatically with customers. He's a CEO and founder. Ryan knows all about the necessity of immediate contact with customers in a world where people's attention spans are shorter than a TikTok video, a mosquito bite, or whatever. But Ryan is not your typical Silicon Valley techie. He's an autodidact. And we're going to find out what that really means with a vision. So Ryan explains how automation can make or break your businesses and his journey to creating CHIIRP. He said he has sent or received over 5 million text messages in his career, and I'm the only person that texts more than a teenage girl. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, Ryan, but welcome to the show.
A little self-deprecating humor there.
Well, self-deprecation goes a long way, but it shows you don't take yourselves too seriously. It means you're open to a little bit of humor, which is actually a good thing, I think. So Ryan, you're dialing in from Utah, but you haven't lived there all the time. So I want to learn, how did your entrepreneurial journey start? Because and then what was the inspiration for that? And then there's a few steps in your journey, and we're going to dive into those too. But how did you get into the entrepreneur area?
It started all the way back about 40 years ago. My parents came together, and it actually started when I was 9, more like 30 years ago. 30 years ago. I've been an entrepreneur since day one, is what I was saying there. But I found that out when I was 9, when I begged my mom to buy sour gumballs for me to sell at school. So she'd buy the bulk sour gumballs and I'd sell them at school. And if you didn't squint, you got one for free. That was my little deal that I would do for people. But really, my first successful business, that one was pretty successful. I made like $40, I think. So I've always had a drive. I've always had a passion for entrepreneurship. I didn't finish high school. It didn't interest me. I took a few college courses and just always knew that, I didn't really want to be kind of molded into that box. And so, I tried, several different things in my 20s just to get my feet wet in entrepreneurship, and tried different businesses. But my first successful business really took off about 12 years ago when my first son was born. And I can tell you that definitely having children, if you're needing extra drive, having children is definitely a way to do it. It's because when you have to feed more than just yourself, it becomes real. And so my wife and I, we were living in California when we were pregnant with my first son, Maddox. And when he was born, we decided to move to Utah. I knew it was like time to just really buckle down and focus on what I was going to do. I didn't really have any business ideas at the time. I just knew I needed to be in a place that was going to foster good entrepreneurship. And Utah is a better place for entrepreneurship, especially at the very beginning, than California. California tends to be a little anti-entrepreneur. But
okay, that is very interesting, actually. I thought, I didn't think that would be the case.
Yeah, right. It's Tinseltown and all that. You think it'd be like the risk taker's dream, but it's really it's pretty difficult to start from zero there. So we moved to Utah. I had $0. I basically we had enough money to pay for rent for the first month, and it was like, we got to figure something out. And so I stumbled onto an opportunity for a job that I thought was just going to be a job for the time being while I figured things out. And it ended up really changing the way I've lived my life from then on. It's stayed a part of my life all the way up through now. But the job was a windshield repair business. So I was working for a guy at a car wash fixing windshields. So, they get the little rock chip.
Yep.
And you can inject a resin into that chip, and the insurance companies will pay you pretty well to do this windshield repair. So I was working for this guy, and it wasn't long before I kind of just felt like he didn't know what he was doing. And I saw the opportunity and said, I think I can run this business better than he does. And so I bought my own equipment, and I started going door to door selling windshield repair. And
right.
I'd make like $200 or $300 a night, like for like the 4 hours in the afternoon when people were getting home. And it was like more money than I'd ever made. $200 or $300 a day was more money than I'd ever made. And the itch got worse for entrepreneurship. It was like, cool, I know I can at least support myself. Let's keep going. And so we started doing it out of gas stations, and next thing you knew, I was in like 9 different auto dealerships. As cars are coming through for service, we were offering to fix windshields. We had 9 technicians, and it was going, really good. And so at that point, I started to go, you know what? This seems like a really good, this was back before courses were cool, like online courses. I knew, though, I was like, man, I could either continue to scale this business locally, or I could take it kind of more on a global approach and say, what if I train people how to start their own windshield repair business?
Yep.
And so I started piecing together a course. I started doing little videos. I had a Mac Mini computer, and I was like learning how to edit videos and do this training course. And within about 6 months, I had like a course on how to start your windshield repair business. I reached out to the people that manufacture the tools, and I said, hey, I think I'm going to be able to sell your tools. Would you be willing to put my logo on your tools, so to white label the kit? And they said, yeah, let's do it. And so I started selling that course. I think the first month I did like $20,000 in sales, and I was just like,
wow.
Like, whoa, here we go. And so I started advertising on Facebook ads and some other like business opportunity websites and things like that. And I think we helped over 1,000 people start a windshield repair business all over. We have a guy in New Zealand that does it.
Okay.
Not Australia, but
oh, well.
Same part of the world.
But opportunity there for you, obviously.
Right. And so I made, like $2 million selling that course, and I was doing it all through Facebook ads and text messaging. So as the leads would come in, I would text them. I was piecing together a few different softwares to kind of make it work. And, I saw that the sales process was really high converting. It was working really well. If I spent around $200 to $300 on Facebook advertising, I would see about $2,000 to $3,000 in course sales through this texting process. So of that $2 million, I maybe spent $250,000 on ads. So from there, it was like, okay, cool. Let's follow the pattern. I started the windshield repair business, and then I wanted to help people also start a windshield repair business. Then it was, okay, I've got this really cool sales process. This text message automation works really well. I want to help other businesses do that. And that's when I got the idea for CHIIRP. And so from there, I hired an engineer. We started building a software platform. And within about a year, we had a viable product, and we started selling that. And now here we are, taking over the world with CHIIRP. So
Yeah. So what was the idea to start using messaging as well as Facebook ads? Where did that come from? Was that a tip by a friend?
yeah, I had a friend that had done some automation with a company called Infusionsoft.
Yes.
Yep. So he used Infusionsoft, and he had some software that was within Infusionsoft. And so as the leads would come in, we knew, like, if we wanted to convert them, the key was to contact them very, very quickly. And so once we figured out that if a lead came in, if a lead said, "Hey, yeah, I'm interested," if we shot them that text message right away, that's when it was like it turned them from, here's an online like person that I don't know, but I'm requesting information. It immediately takes them into kind of a more intimate relationship with me, and I become a real person at that point. And there's a level of trust there that goes way high once you move them from the digital space into a one-to-one conversation.
Right.
And so that really was the ticket to, the conversions on these, because they really felt like, and they did not it was true. I was there on the end of those texts, so it wasn't like fake or anything. But once they felt that level of trust, like, hey, this is a real person, and he's there talking to me, then from there it was like, man, let's go. So
okay, so what sort of level of improvement did you get by adding messaging to Facebook ads? What sort of conversion rate improvement did you get?
like easily more than double. But like, you think about it in terms of what most people do is they try to capture a lead, they try to capture an email address,
Yep.
and then they try to follow up with emails. Okay, so the problem, it's the same with anything. It doesn't matter how good your message is, if the people aren't consuming the message,
Yep.
it's not going to convert. So if you have a really well-written email, who cares if the person doesn't click to open it, right? And so if you're doing really well with email, right, you're like a 20% open rate, I think 30% open rate. Text messages have a 98 to 100% read rate, So I knew, right away you can know your message is being read. So you've kind of conquered that one problem of, can I get my message in front of somebody? And the question was, will people give me their phone number?
Yes. Yeah, that's a biggie.
Yep. And so when we did the form and we compared, the price per lead was maybe 10% different. So more expensive for the phone number, but at 10% more, if I'm getting a 5 times read rate, it's well worth the extra investment to get the phone number. Because I could spend $1 for an email address, or $1.10 or $1.20 for a phone number, but 5 times more people are going to read my message. So
yeah.
The conversion rates were way, way higher on the conversion side.
So all right, so that totally makes sense. And obviously you build a business based upon an observation in your previous business, said, wow, this works. Let's build a tool that really doubles down on that. So maybe could you reveal to us what is best practice for messaging, let's say, used with Facebook ads? Could you describe the best practice tips or steps that you would recommend?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the secrets that I kind of I wouldn't share it very first when I discovered it, because I was like, oh man, this is killer. It's totally okay, and it doesn't affect me, to do it. But with text messaging, and it's the same as email, we're not here to spam people. And so what some people generally think is, they go, oh, that's if somebody texted me, that would just piss me off, and I would never do business with that person. And I'm the same way. If somebody texted me out of the blue, without me requesting information, then yeah, I'm not going to do business. But if you clearly, if you set the standard at the very beginning that you are going to communicate through text, you have a very good take on that. People are very accepting of that and they prefer it. And it's only getting more and more that they prefer it. I mean, even in 2015, it was probably less than it is. Not probably, it was much less than it is now. More than 90% of consumers would prefer to text than any other form of communication. So you just have to set the standard at the beginning that you're going to be communicating through text. And to do that, there's some tricky language that, copywriting that can really help you with that. So what I do is, we all know what a lead magnet is, right? Where we're saying, hey, if you give me your phone number, I'm going to send you something cool. Most people say, hey, if you give me your email address, I'm going to send you something cool, right? I'll send you a free ebook or whatever it is in exchange for your data, because we're trying to capture a lead. What I say is, I take the lead magnet, for example. The lead magnet in this case was a 1-minute video. Want to learn more about this opportunity? I've prepared a 1-minute video that explains it. I'll send it to you. And what I say is when they go to fill out the form, it says phone number, and then yes, text me the video, or no, just email it. And that language, instead of just saying, would you like me to text you? Yes, no, they're going to say no. But if I say, yes, text me the video, or no, just send it an email, I'll get about a 95% people saying, yes, text me the video.
Right.
And then it's in their head. They're going to receive a text message, right? And then the moment they submit that form, it's about 30 seconds. They receive the text message. Hey, it's Ryan. Thank you so much for requesting information. Here's that video that I promised. So now I've started the relationship off with fulfilling on a promise that I had put out there. And so we're starting off with the relationship of trust. And now it's like, hey, I've fulfilled on that. Okay, watch the video. And then it's on from there. So,
right. Okay. So once you've got that video, the lead magnet, that could be an ebook. Obviously, that raises the importance of being quite mobile focused. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. Of course. About, I would say 90+% of the leads are filling out the form from their phone.
Right.
And then the option to email is there. So if they did choose that, it's there, but it's rare that they do.
Okay. So you've got the lead. Okay. So what are the next steps after that to convert them from interested to buyers?
Okay.
What are the next steps?
I'll walk you through the exact, it's what I would call an evergreen funnel. They'll go through the entire sales process, all before I ever communicate with them physically or manually, right? It's all done up to this point. So the first video goes out, and I'll walk you through the funnel, the ideal flow, and then what we do if they drop off the funnel.
Yep, perfect.
So the first text message goes out, and it has a 1-minute video. That 1-minute video is just a brief overview of the business opportunity, and it gets them excited to learn more. The purpose of this video is to get them excited to watch a pre-recorded webinar. So one of the things that we teach is close to the highest level. So I can't close this guy yet, right? He's a new lead. He's at the very top of the funnel. The only thing I can close him on is to do something else, which is to watch a longer video. Okay, so each stage of the funnel, the first part is, I'm trying to get your phone number. So I'm only going to give enough information to try to get your phone number. I'm not trying to sell you my program yet. I'm just trying to sell you on giving you my phone number, on you giving me your phone number. The next part is, I'm trying to sell you on watching my 15-minute webinar. The next part of that, I'm trying to sell you on booking a call with me. And then I'm going to get on and we're going to have an actual sales call. So remember that as you're building your funnel, that each stage should be focused on what can I do to get them to the next stage, not what can I do to sell them, right? So at the beginning, I have a 1-minute video, and it says, millions of cars are hit with rocks every year. This is a really good opportunity. You can make this much money. And then I say, I want to tell you all about it, but I can't in this short video. So I've prepared a 15-minute presentation. It's on the next page. Take some time to watch that video, and then we'll go from there. So that 1-minute video sells them on watching the 15-minute video. Mm-hmm. The 15-minute video is a full sales presentation. What you're getting your equipment, you're getting training, you're getting videos, you're getting access to our private community where you can ask questions and all of that stuff. And then at the end of that video, I say, great, if this is something that interests you, book a call with me or a member of my team. And they're then asked, because then I say, we want to know if you're going to be the right person to work with us. It's a two-way street here. We're not just looking for everybody to sign up. We want to make sure that you're actually a good potential client. And so let's get on a call and get to know each other a little bit better. Mm-hmm. So they book the call. And then if they get on the phone call, it's a Zoom call. We present them all the options. And then ideally we close them on a $2,000 to $3,000 program, which is, in my opinion, well worth. I mean, we're teaching people how to make $5,000 to $10,000, even more a month with rock chip repair. So it's a minimal investment for what you get. But that process, as you can see, like you said, it's just moving people through the process so that by the time we do get on a call, they are willing to engage and have a sales discussion at that point. And we've established the trust.
Right. So. Okay. So that's for selling a $2,000 or $3,000 training program.
Right.
Let's say that it's a lower value item, like $40, $50 monthly subscription, okay, as an example, which might have a lifetime value of, $1,000.
Yep.
So you wouldn't really be wanting to get on a sales call to sell that.
Right.
So what would the sales process for a lower value item but still has good lifetime value? What would be the
so
process?
remember the close to the highest level process and move them through a funnel. And I would think in that case, if you're selling something like that, a 5 to 10 minute video that explains it would be sufficient to sell a $40 or $50 a month subscription.
Yep.
And then at the end of that video would just be an offer to sign up right there rather than booking the call.
Yeah.
So we've still moved them through, but because we're not, in this case, I need to get somebody on the phone to close a high ticket deal. Whereas in that case, it's the funnel ends here, right? Where at the end of that video.
Yep.
And so you can definitely do it without the sales call, and you can even do it without the 15-minute. It depends on what it is. If I'm talking to a home service business that sells carpet cleaning, that's a pretty straightforward sale. It's like, you don't even need a video. Just go to the booking page and say, this is what it costs, here, book, so it's, everybody's funnel is a little different, and you have to determine what the flow is, but the same principles apply. Close to the highest level through the funnel, and then the money happens at the point where the value is felt by the customer that, it's worth it for me to invest that amount of money.
Right. That's really awesome. I think it's simplicity. It's very focused. And I do love the combination of doing ads with messaging. And I've watched this sort of thing. And I've seen peers of mine, colleagues, use it to actually start and even sell successful businesses. So, and messaging can be used for a range of other things. And I just had a look at your website. Basically, obviously lead generation and sales. What are some of the other things you can use messaging for? And I've got
well, let me backtrack just a little bit, because we talked about that being the perfect flow of the funnel.
Yep.
I want to make sure we touch just briefly on what we do if they drop out of the funnel,
right? And
then how to communicate after the post sale. So obviously what I just explained to you is an ideal scenario. They go through 1-minute video, 14-minute video, schedule the call, sale, right? That's an ideal flow, but not very many people just stick right to that flow. No. They might watch the first video and then disappear for a while, or they might get through the 15-minute video and they don't book a call. So what you want to have in place is a follow-up system. You've heard it a million times, the fortune is in the follow-up, and this is very true. Most of my sales come from, I shouldn't say most, it's probably 50-50. 50% will go through pretty smoothly, and then the other 50% of sales are caught on the back end by me following up through a series of text messages, emails, and voicemails that follow up with the lead and send out stuff that gets them re-excited to come back into the funnel. So I'll send out testimonial videos of clients that have taken the course and are very happy with it. We'll send them videos through text message. Hey, I noticed that you watched our video but haven't yet booked a call. Julie was really interested, but she was a little hesitant to start her business. But here's her story. She jumped in, and here's her story. And they can watch a 5-minute video about Julie, who started a windshield repair business. And I'll send a few of those videos over over like a 10-day period. And at the end of each of those videos, I re-invite them to come back to the 15-minute presentation. So I'm always redirecting them back to that 15-minute presentation. I'll say at the end, hey, that was Julie's story. She's doing really well. Look, if you haven't watched our 15-minute presentation, I think it'll be really worth your time. Below this video, click the button. That'll take you to the 15-minute presentation. So I'm always bringing them back to the funnel. Okay. Now, text messaging, that's for the sales part. This we're talking about lead conversion, right? Now, messaging can be, to your question just now, really effective for maintaining your customer base after the job is complete, after you've closed a deal. Whether that's you're a home service business or you are selling a course or whatever you're selling, communication after is really important as well. We want to try to capture reviews. And we also want to, you can use texting to deliver an experience. So like, for example, our coaching course, once you've signed up, you get access to the course, but we have a sequence that's 60 days long that will drip, things that they could be working on, ask them questions. How are things going? Where are you at? And just maintaining communication with the lead or the customer after the job is complete. When we talk about home service businesses, we talk about reaching out like a 12 months later with a text message that says, hey, it's been 12 months since we cleaned your carpets. Time to get you back on the schedule, that kind of thing. So if you break it up into 3 buckets, you've got the lead conversion stage, which is what we focused our conversation on so far. You've got the actual, the job, whether that's me fulfilling on a course or somebody cleaning carpets or whatever it is. And then you have post-job communication, which is also important.
Right. That's really awesome. So in terms of what your platform does, because do you provide, in other words, templates to help people put in place a successful messaging marketing funnel? Is that part of what CHIIRP does as well?
Yeah, so we have pre-built campaigns for many industries that use CHIIRP. Part of how we built the platform was, you have campaigns and then they have a code, and that code can be shared with anybody. And it can be, so let's say you have a 15-day drip campaign that is converting well for the HVAC industry or something. I can hand that code to somebody and say, here you go, put it on your account, and it'll build that campaign right into their account. And then we can also do that with groups of campaigns. We can say, hey, we have the full HVAC secrets revealed marketing campaign. Here it is. Here's your whole group of campaigns.
Right. Okay. Because that would really help people get up and running really quickly then, wouldn't it?
Yeah. One of the fears always is, oh, cool. Like, that seems really cool, but if you just handed me that software, I'd have no idea what to do with it. And so we have, pre-built campaigns. We also have like support groups and different, different ways that people are using it. Whenever somebody comes with a real cool idea, we'll try to share it with the group. If they're willing to share it, sometimes they're not willing to share. We just had one that was really cool. I go back to HVAC because that's one we're focused on right now, HVAC companies. But they want to sell memberships to HVAC. So it's, to their residential clients to join a monthly subscription that like maintains for maintenance on their HVAC system. So
HVAC, sorry, HVAC.
HVAC, heating, like air conditioning in your home.
Right. Okay. So
that's one of our, what's that?
So age, how's that spelt? Age.
HVAC, so heating,
Oh,
ventilation,
heating.
air conditioning.
Oh, HVAC. Okay, sorry. Yep.
Yeah. So it's an acronym.
Yep. Okay.
For heating, ventilation. It's a home service, right?
Yep.
So, like, for example, somebody came up with a really cool campaign to sell memberships, and that's to send a text message when the technician is on the way to the home. The text message will automatically go to the client or the customer, and it'll say, "Hey, your technician's on his way. By the way, if you'd like to save money on this call, be sure to ask him about our membership program."
Right.
And just that one single text message triggers the conversation, and now the technician's in a really good place to answer that question. So so these little tips and tricks and things are floating around in our group, and it can be for any type of business really, but anything that needs sales, this is very effective. And then like I said, when we find those things, we share them as much as we can.
All right, cool. So when you started 4 years ago, is that correct? I think it was 4 years ago you started CHIIRP.
Yep.
You built the platform, took 12 months to make sure it was ready, and one of the things I'm always intrigued with, did you build it, in other words, as a minimal viable product? In other words, it had enough features to be able to test and see what worked and what didn't?
Yes. So, well, it was really 6 months when we had MVP, right? Minimum viable product. And really all we were trying to accomplish was Facebook ads, capture the lead, start a text message conversation, and a drip campaign.
Right.
That was it. Now it's way beyond that. It's taken on a life of its own. It's got tons of automations. We're integrated with tons of different platforms and tons of different things. But originally that was the first thing we were trying to accomplish. And we were like, hey, we'll sell this to anybody that'll buy it. Like, let's just get it out there and show people. And then from there, people started to sign up. We started to get people using it. And then we started to find the groups that were having the most success with it. And we started kind of focusing our attention on those groups that were really having the most success with it. So.
Right. Okay. So, in other words, you sort of started broad, but then you decided you needed niche down. Was that correct?
For sure. So yeah. So it's like shotgun approach, right? And then they, for sure, the whole riches are in the niches is very, very, very true. I subscribe to that. We just didn't know what the niche was at first. And it's one thing to just go, well, I'll just pick one. It's like, that's really hard to do. If anybody's ever done it, it's like, it's really hard to settle on just, you're like, oh, but you're like, okay, well, we'll focus on these guys. And like, well, what about these guys? What about these? I find, for me personally, the best way has been to find who's having the most success, and then let them tell me what they need, and then me build the product to what they need. So well, it kind of goes back to don't try to find an audience for your product. Find a product for your audience.
Right.
Find what they need rather than trying to force something down their throat.
Right. Okay, that makes total sense, and that's great. But it is sometimes hard to do that, isn't it? It's like the shotgun approach. You go
easier said, yeah.
And so, did you do a lot of testing as well in terms of Facebook ads, trying different segments and just target them and see, and then the messaging?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. So you start, like, we got at the beginning, a lot of people, a lot of real estate agents resonated with the follow-up. So we got a lot of real estate agents coming on board. And so we test different Facebook ads, and we had a lot of success with a lot of them. And so we test different types of ads and different messaging in the wording and the texting and things like that. And just over time, you determine what's the, it goes back to just like marketing 101. That's like, what is the market like feeling right now? Instead of trying to force the message, right? Figure out what they respond to now. And that changes regularly. As a marketer, you should be trying to pay attention to trends in headlines and different things like that. And there's some pretty cool books on that kind of stuff, but trying to fit, instead of trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. Did I say that right? I say that right. Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
You find the message that resonates and just go with that instead of trying to force it down their throats. So you always just find what's hot. Like right now, like if you said right now, hey, come get your come refinance your home, mortgage rates are lower than ever. Like, it's not gonna work.
That's not
So, so that's like an easy obvious one, right? But you need to find subtle ones within what you're doing that kind of make sure you're saying the right thing. Like one of the big problems on Facebook is if you go and do ads right now that say like, we can get you leads, you think in your head like, well, businesses want leads, sure, like why wouldn't that work? But that was so done to death that now people don't respond to it. They just immediately go, oh, another lead scammer, so you have to shift your messaging to the climate.
So on your journey with CHIIRP and also in entrepreneurial journey, what are some of the biggest challenges you've faced that has kept you up at night? What are a few of those? In other words, we all see, that we love hearing success stories, but we've still got to realize that, we're all human, we're going to make mistakes. What are some of the biggest mistakes you've made that you've learned from?
Yeah. So the things that keep me up at night, as of late, just so you know, as an entrepreneur, that never, once you solve that, there's the next thing that keeps you up at night. So you never actually get there. It's, but right now, no. Well, a big thing that I've really recently had a big shift in my mindset has been shifting to a who, not how mentality. My problem as an entrepreneur is I like to do things and I like to do them my way, and I don't like to let other people do things unless they do them my way, which never happens. And so delegation for me has been a challenge for sure. And I would recommend, there is a book called Who Not How that I would definitely recommend. It definitely helped me change my mindset. There's no affiliate thing here, so just talking about the book. A really good book, but it's, the mentality of shifting to, instead of trying, when I have an idea, my mindset has always been, okay, how do I do it? And then I start figuring out how to do it, and then I implement, which can be good to start with, but you're only going to get so far because you can only do so many things yourself. And my mindset now is, when we have a really cool initiative, when we have a really cool new plan, I don't say, okay, how are we going to do this? I say, who do I need to find that can take this project and run with it? We recently hired a partner, a guy in charge of partnerships. You met him. He's the one that reached out to you, Justin.
Yes.
But his job is, we said, we need a partner program for CHIIRP. We've done what we think we can do at this point on our own. Now we need partners who can influence us into other markets. And so instead of me going, okay, I'm going to go start finding partners, I said, okay, I'm going to find somebody who can spearhead this project. And I'm just going to say, that's your focus. Just stay focused on that one thing.
Yeah.
And so, and it's proving to be very, very effective. And that's not to say that's the first time. We have other hires in the company, of course, but that's been the recent example that's been very successful. And so shifting that mindset allows you to be kind of that scalable mindset of, you kind of go, man, I have too many things on my plate. How can I scale this business? And it's like, that's the problem is you have too many things on your plate. Get people in place to do those things.
Right.
So
yeah, that makes total sense. So a partner program, you mean by that an affiliate program? Is that what you're saying?
It's an affiliate program / we also work with partners who implement the software for people. So they're like a kind of like an agency type level, where if you're, let's say you're a company that wants to implement automation, but doesn't want to actually learn how to use all the software, they can hire like one of these companies to do it for them. Kind of a who, not how situation, right? Where they're finding somebody to just implement automation for them. So yes, affiliate, we do have the affiliate program. And then we have, part of that is the partner program, where it's you're selling CHIIRP and then also implementing it.
Okay. All right.
For the customer.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
So, how many countries are you in now with CHIIRP?
CHIIRP's North America. Australia is actually next. We'll be in there pretty soon. It's just a matter of some simple code that we're going to finish up for Australia. And then UK would be after that.
So by that you mean that because you must be able to use messaging globally, is that correct?
Yeah, well, so that's the hang up is text messaging is different in every country. So my cell phone won't communicate with your cell phone in Australia through text.
Right.
And so we have to establish a connection to the carriers in the country. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And that is the big challenge, isn't it? I've always wondered about that.
That is the challenge. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not something we can't do. It just takes programming. It just takes time. So.
Okay, so if someone wanted to target North America, for example, the USA, then CHIIRP can help them do that currly. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. Yes. Canada and US. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. That's really good. So I'm aware of your time, and what are some of the top tips that you'd like to leave for our viewers and listeners, Ryan? Because you've really revealed some really great gems. I think it's been fantastic. So what are some top tips as an entrepreneur or as a CHIIRPer from CHIIRP?
Yeah.
What are some top tips for succeeding as an entrepreneur that you've learned along the way?
Yeah. Number one, like for me, I'll talk about like some philosophical philosophical things.
Perfect.
And then some actual practical things. But as an entrepreneur, ego is not your amigo.
That's what I love that.
Nobody's impressed. Nobody cares what kind of car you drive. Nobody cares about any of that stuff. They care that if you take care of your clients and that you're really trying to provide something that is of value to the world. So if you approach it from it's not about me, it's about the customer and how we can do this, you're going to be successful. If you're going into this going, I want all the cars, I want the beach, I want the women, whatever it is, it's very, very unlikely that it's going to work out that way for you. Mm-hmm. So the sooner you can drop the ego, I think I definitely, I'm not saying that I don't struggle with this, but definitely I find that as I focus less on me and more on the customer experience and actually trying to shift and make a difference, then I find myself as a happier entrepreneur and a more successful entrepreneur. So that's kind of a philosophical side. And then the next thing from a more practical standpoint, I would say, if you find yourself saying, hey, I do it like this because that's how it's always been done, you're at high risk of losing your business. It's not the 90s. It's not businesses now. There's a billion different ways to make money. And if you don't adapt to the changing, very fast changing digital world, you can't survive. And so if your mentality is, hey, this is working, cool, I don't need to learn new stuff, I'm good, you're gonna die quickly. I just helped a friend of mine start a carpet cleaning business here locally. Mm-hmm. And we implemented all of these strategies, and he's on track to do in his first year, over $100,000 just working the truck himself. He makes $100,000 his very first year. And the point there is, if he can step into a market that is saturated, there's plenty of carpet cleaning businesses here.
There is.
If he can step in and use these new digital tools and take that much of the market share, your business is at risk. You know what I mean? Because it's not, oh, we've been in business 20 years, so we're safe. A kid can come in and very quickly take a big chunk of your market using new tools and new automation. Mm-hmm. So you want to make sure you're on the front end at all times. And so it's lonely. It's a lonely place to be, but you gotta be always knowing that your business is at risk and that you should be trying to stay ahead.
So. Yeah, that makes total sense. So Ryan, thank you very much for sharing your insight. It's been absolutely fabulous, and I've learned a lot. And that's one of the things I'm so grateful for, and having these chats on the Jeff Buller Show, because I come away having learned so much, and I'm always curious about what are the stories behind successful entrepreneurs, or just entrepreneurs, people that are actually prepared to go and give it a go. In other words, take an idea and take action. And I think you've revealed that you didn't go to college, you didn't finish high school, but you took action, you kept learning, you were curious, and hats off to you, Ryan. It's been absolutely fabulous to hear your stories, and thank you very much for those tips. And I'm sure our viewers and listeners will, I would say there might be some implementations coming up, so look, we'll take it from there. So thank you very much, Ryan. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here. Thank you.